greetings. We are representatives of the planet Nibiru. Perhaps for many of you it will be news that our planet is one of the planets of the solar system. Moreover, our planet is one of the closest to the Earth, and our civilization is one of the closest to Earth civilization in its vibrations. Nibiru is rapidly approaching the Earth, and the fields of our planets will unite. Thanks to this, the contact of our civilizations will increase significantly. Today we want to talk about the features of those energies in which there is a planet Nibiru, and also to tell an amazing story of its origin, from which our close relationship with you will become clear. Perhaps many of you have heard the name Nibiru, associated with something secret and mysterious. Information about this planet existed for a long time in the myths of many of ancient peoples. Its name also came from there. Ancient people perceived it as the closest to Earth, and its inhabitants as the closest extraterrestrial relatives. At the same time, modern scientists cannot find any concrete information confirming the existence of the planet X. How did it happen? The fact is that our planet and we ourselves are in a finer reality with respect to yours. Our vibrations are not directly related to electromagnetic radiation, and therefore we cannot be seen through a telescope or recorded by other devices. Our vibrations are not even similar to the most subtle electromagnetic radiation. We exist in another spectrum that is not directly related to physical reality. This energy spectrum can be called emotional. And in order to talk about our connection with you, we need to first more in detail indicate what emotional energy is. All people feel emotional vibrations very well, because your feelings and sensations are built on them. Your biological organism is the best tuning fork for these energies. It can both generate and transmit them. They play a significant role in any close relationship. Since the relationship is primarily based on emotions, they matter in the sensory perception of nature. In addition, these energies are clearly manifested in any creativity and can be transmitted from person to person through works of art. At the same time, those devices that you are currently using in physical reality cannot directly register them. However, there are devices that register the human biofield, working in infrared radiation. This is the lowest frequency part of the electromagnetic spectrum, which intersects with emotional waves, and therefore it can be indirectly determined. But this intersection is very weak. Therefore, devices operating in electromagnetic radiation are not enough for a full study of such frequencies. As you can see, emotions are not high-frequency manifestations, since they border on the most rough part of the electromagnetic spectrum. However, they are directly related to the material world, and most of all, with your biological organism. Your body is a direct generator of these frequencies, but at the same time they do not exist explicitly, but appear as if in the background, overlapping with physical perception, etc. through the senses. For example, you can easily generate and transmit emotional energy through your voice and also fully perceive it through the voice of other people. You can transfer it physically through the plastic of your body and facial expressions. It is also transmitted through the warmth of your body and tactile contact, which you perceive during hugs and kisses. Throughout your life, each person learns to perceive it, because the emotional energy for each of you is vital. At the same time, learning to distinguish it, you still perceive it indirectly, through physical reality. At the same time, each of you feels emotions as something close and dear, as a direct part of himself. They exist in the perception of everyone, while not having a single material confirmation. Why is this happening? The fact is that you have existed in physical reality for a long time, and therefore all your senses are tuned to it. But very close by there is another one of the realities that can be called emotional, and it is not parallel, so as it comes into contact with yours. Once upon a time, these two realities were a single whole, but then diverged for a number of reasons. Nevertheless, from that time on, each of you has left access to the emotional reality, and you can develop a separate sense organ for communicating with her, called the shiz with that feeling. Why do you need this quality when you live in another world? In fact, each of you lives in both worlds, both in the emotional and in the physical, which is why the feeling of emotions is so necessary for most of you. The only question is that most of your attention exists in the physical reality. On the other hand, your life energy, which nourishes your existence, exists in both of these worlds. Therefore, when you are born, you gain both worlds. That is why children feel emotions so well. They practically live in both worlds. But the whole development of mankind digging on the development of the physical world, and as one grows up, Each person learns to communicate with him, and the emotional world fades into the background. We, the inhabitants of Nibiru, almost completely live in emotional reality, so our planet is almost impossible to register with physical devices. However, as you have access to emotional reality, so we still have a connection with the physical world. And once upon a time our planet existed in one reality with yours. Moreover, our planets were one. It was one, our common planet, which existed for a very long time, when the emotional and material energies were very closely connected. On this planet, every organism or object existed in a single spectrum of these energies, since there was no separation between the worlds. The first planet that gave birth to all of us can be called Nibiru Earth, but then there was a moment when the total energy of the planet was divided into two parts. In this case, one of them got most of the material energy and a small part of emotional energy, which later became known as Earth. The other one received most of the emotional energy, and it began to be called Nibiru. Nevertheless, in our world there remains a part of the material energy, which manifests itself in the most subtle form and in your physical reality. You name it dark matter because it is not visible. However, it is also subject to the universal law of attraction, and therefore astronomers have noticed its presence by the nature of the movement of celestial bodies. For example, they often observe temporary deviations of some stars from their usual trajectory. Later they return back to their orbit. Usually this happens when the trajectories of two stars come together for the shortest distance, at which their gravitational attraction is maximized. It is this attraction that leads to a temporary change in the trajectory. But in some cases, astronomers did not notice any material object located close to the deflected star. Therefore, they suggested that this object consists of some other kind of matter that is not associated with electromagnetic radiation, and therefore is invisible. So it appeared the term dark matter. In fact, this is the thinnest form of matter that can be registered by deviations using the universal law of gravity. At first, scientists noticed only the most heavy manifestations of this matter, observing the movements in stars and planets. But gradually, as the accuracy of instruments improved, similar deviations began to be recorded everywhere, including on the Earth itself. For example, the acceleration of free fall of the same object at different points on the planet is different. On the one hand, this phenomenon can be explained by the different density of the rocks of the Earth's crust in different parts of the planet. But sometimes these differences are so sharp that they cannot be explained even in this way. What are the reasons for all these deviations? They are connected with the presence in the universe of dark matter, which is present everywhere, as if parallel to physical, but at the same time at each point in space it has a different concentration. Sometimes it even forms huge clumps, like cosmic bodies deflecting the trajectories of visible space objects. It also exists in the body of many planets, and its distribution may be uneven, for example, as on Earth. Moreover, the dark matter of the Earth was periodically redistributed in the depths of the planet, affecting the physical processes occurring on the surface, for example, leading to gradual changes in the landscape. About how dark matter arises, and what connection it has with our emotional world, we want to tell further. Our universe consists of two worlds, material and emotional, in contact with each other, into which it once divided. This separation happened a long time ago, right after the Big Bang. After that, two types energies begin to exist separately, but at the same time in one common space. However, at the very beginning they were formed from a single substance called protubstance. This substance has no atoms or elementary particles, it like the primary energy from which all physical matter. Transformation of the matter into that matter that you are accustomed to observe occurs due to the connection with subtle information. This information existed from the very beginning, even before the birth of the universe, and therefore it is common for both your of the natural world, and so for our emotional one. At first, this information manifested itself in the impulse created by the creator of our universe. Due to the combination of this impulse with protest, the Big Bang started. During it, information and matter began to gradually appear. Information began to be born through elementary particles, and at first they were very thin, without mass. Among them were those that were already known to you, like neutrinos. The substance was not connected with elementary particles at first and was dark matter time, which scientists are now observing. It was that substance that was common to the material and emotional world. It was from this that the entire universe you saw manifested itself. This happened due to the further connection of matter with information, during which elementary particles that do not have mass joined with dark matter and gave birth to all other particles that you know. This is just the substance that you can register with the help of instruments, touch, but this only applies to the material world. Other the same world, emotional,